And our mission today is a deep dive into corporate English. We're also going to hit some quick fluency boosters.
Exactly, because English might be the international language of business, but sounding confident, professional, and natural in those cross-cultural settings, that's the real goal, isn't it?
It really is. The common belief is that you just need grammar and, the technical jargon. But that only gets you halfway there.
Right. So our goal for you, the listener, is to pull out those specific language nuggets.
And the practice techniques that you really need for authentic, fast communication to help you finally move past that dreaded intermediate plateau.
We want to give you the conversational tools to sound like a professional employee, not just a capable student.
hmm And to really anchor this discussion, I think we should look at a scenario that, it plays out in every office every single day.
The informal chat by the coffee machine.
Exactly. Like the one we saw between Sarah and Mark. That's where the real work of global business gets done.
It's so true. You could have perfect grammar, but if you struggle with those moments of casual conversation, with the sources sometimes called pleasantries or
Chit chat.
chit chat, you struggle to build rapport.
And rapport fundamentally is what drives deals. It drives team cohesion.
I find it so fascinating that the sources really hammer this point home. Business English isn't just for a formal presentation or a contract review.
No, not at all. It's about those non-heavy, nice conversations that happen on the fly.
So why does that casual language matter so much in what is, a high-stakes corporate environment?
Because trust is built in the margins. If you sound robotic or unnatural, colleagues might see that as stiffness or maybe an unwillingness to connect.
And the material suggests that the people who really excel at these casual chats are often described as good-natured.
That's a powerful insight. It suggests the language skill is tied directly to character.
Walk us through that. What does being good-natured even mean in a professional context?
Well, a good-natured person, according to the materials we looked at, is kind and shows consideration toward other people.
Okay, so it's more than just being polite.
Much more. In the office, it means you're the person who gets pulled onto sensitive, high-stakes projects because that trust, that positive character is just paramount. Especially in cross-cultural and remote teams, the language really follows the intent.
So if I'm an advanced learner, my goal isn't just to be grammatically correct. It's to communicate in a way that signals I'm considerate and trustworthy.
Exactly, which confirms what the materials stress. Professional language training covers way more than just industry terminology.
Right.
It really does. They cover things you might not expect, like how to encourage colleagues or how to deal with an aggressive vendor, even how to professionally respond to unwanted questions.
So it's about social strategy, really.
It's all social strategy. Real-world applicable language goes well beyond irregular verbs.
Okay, let's take that casual exchange between Sarah and Mark and pull out some specific high-value vocabulary, words that can instantly boost your professional credibility.
Where should we start?
We have to start with the word Mark used to describe his annoyance with the IT department. Pestering.
Oh, pester is a gem of a word for any workplace. We actually pulled a great example from the source materials where they use this word in a sentence game.
So what's the definition?
To pester means to bother or annoy someone, usually with constant repeated requests. You're continually asking for something.
Okay, so there's a difference between a normal follow-up and pestering. It's about the repetition and the duration.
That's it. If I send one polite follow-up email after 24 hours, that's fine.
But if I'm setting a calendar reminder every hour or walking over to your desk 4 times in a row, that's definitely bordering on pestering.
Absolutely. It implies an aggressive or, a desperate level of repetition. A child might pester their parents for a new toy, or in the corporate world, Mark was pestering the IT department because he needed that laptop fix immediately.
And it carries a bit of a negative connotation.
Strong one, yes.
Okay, moving on. Sarah responded to Mark's complaint with a brilliant idiom that just sounds so natural. Pitfall. We can kind of guess what this means. It sounds like a hidden problem, maybe a metaphorical hole you could fall into professionally.
That imagery is spot on. A pitfall is a very common expression. It's used to describe a hidden problem, a difficulty, a risk, or a negative consequence of a situation that might not be obvious right away.
It's a challenge you have to anticipate and overcome.
Exactly.
Can you give us a couple of examples of corporate pitfalls? Something from the sources to make this word stick?
Certainly. They give great context. For example, a common pitfall of doing live streams or virtual meetings is what? The technology inevitably failing at the worst possible moment.
Of course.
Or in a finance meeting, The major pitfall of investing heavily in volatile assets is that your returns may go down as well as up. It's about describing those inherent, often hidden risks.
So pitfall becomes a useful risk management word. Instead of saying, there are problems with this plan, you sound much more strategic, saying, we need to address the key pitfalls before launch.
Precisely. And by integrating specific words like pester and pitfall, you're not just applying dictionary definitions.
No, you're signaling that you get the nuances of professional conduct and risk.
It's the language of a sophisticated employee in action.
Now let's shift gears completely. Let's move from vocabulary to delivery, because I think the biggest barrier for many learners isn't what words to use, but, well, how fast native speakers actually talk.
Yeah.
When you heard Sarah say, did you, it sounded a lot more like Didja.
That rapid pace, that change in sound, that is the great mystery for advanced learners. And this brings us to a key concept that separates the textbook student from the fluent speaker: connected speech.
This is so often cited as the missing link, right? The thing between understanding your English teacher and understanding a native speaker in the wild.
That's a great way to put it.
So explain what connected speech actually is, beyond the textbook definition.
It's simply the linking or reduction of sounds between words and phrases. When we speak quickly, our mouth just doesn't have time to fully articulate every single sound.
So sounds merge or shorten?
Or disappear entirely.
Yeah.
And it's not laziness, it's just efficiency and rhythm.
We pulled some great examples of these reductions directly from the source materials that illustrate this perfectly.
Yes. Think about a common phrase like, what are you doing?
Right.
No native speaker, unless they're extremely angry or emphasizing every word, says all 4 words clearly.
It becomes what you're doing.
It almost always reduces to what you're doing. Or the simple phrase, I don't know.
I don't know.
It just becomes, I don't know. If you listen for the sound change rather than just the written grammar, that is where fluency really lies.
And here's where it gets really interesting for fluency builders. Channels and educators, like the ones in our sources, they focus specifically on mastering pronunciation, stress, and these natural speech rhythms.
They do. They help you understand that if you try to pronounce the T in most important really clearly in a fast sentence, you actually sound unnatural. That T often disappears or changes.
It highlights the difference between, what, correctness and naturalness.
Exactly. It's not just about articulation, it's about the musicality. The stress and rhythm patterns, sometimes called the language's melody.
And if you don't master that melody.
Even if you hit every word correctly, you can still sound like a computer.
Okay, so understanding that rapid, reduced speech is one thing. But how do we train our mouths to actually keep up with it?
Now that brings us to an active technique the sources swear by. It's for bridging that gap between passive knowledge and automatic fluency.
And that technique is?
The power of shadowing.
Okay, shadowing. The method is straightforward, but it sounds like it requires intense focus.
It does. You watch or listen to a fluent speaker, maybe in a video clip, you pause every few seconds, and you attempt to repeat what they said exactly.
So you're mimicking their pronunciation, their rhythm, their speed.
Everything.
Everything. Shadowing sounds, honestly, a bit exhausting. And maybe tedious if you're trying to focus on every word. What's the biggest mistake learners make when they try it?
The biggest mistake is focusing on the meaning first.
Really?
Yeah. When you start shadowing, you should focus purely on the melody, the ups and downs, the stresses, the reductions, that initial discomfort, that feeling of not really knowing what you're saying.
But it's a good sign.
It's proof that you are retraining your mouth muscles to produce those sounds automatically.
And the sources emphasize this, provides the right kind of speaking practice, because it forces you to speak with a time limit.
Just like a real conversation, you don't have time to stop and translate the phrase, I don't know, in your head. You need to automatically produce, I don't know.
It's about building muscle memory. So less like repetition and more like mimicry training.
That's a perfect way to describe it.
We saw earlier that the sources define nice moments as being pleasant or enjoyable. Let's integrate that into a phrase for you to practice shadowing right now. So listen to the rhythm of this, and I want you to try and mimic it out loud. Ready? It would be nice to see you all again.
That specific, focused practice is the difference maker. It takes that abstract knowledge of connected speech and forces it right into your motor memory.
So to synthesize what we've looked at today, we had specific vocabulary, like pitfall and pester.
And the need to understand natural speech reductions through connected speech.
And then targeted, active practice methods like shadowing.
All of these tools are examples of how modern digital resources let you acquire complex English through something called content-based learning.
Meaning you're focusing on the information itself, the content about professional conduct or risk management.
Right, or the social dynamics of the office. And that intentional focus allows the underlying language structure, the grammar, the rhythm, the stress patterns, to become an internalized secondary tool.
You learn by doing.
And by applying the language to professional subjects you actually care about.
So the key takeaway for you, the learner, is this. Competence in the corporate world is a combination of what you say and, just as importantly, how you say it.
By combining that specific corporate vocabulary with these targeted fluency strategies, you gain the knowledge and the confidence you need.
To impress your colleagues and really embody the capable professional employee that you already are.
And ultimately, that is the goal of true fluency, isn't it? To stop thinking about the mechanics and just start focusing on the message.
So if the source is stress that fluent speaking comes from constantly using the language,
Then the question is, what simple daily habit, beyond just watching lessons, can you adopt to ensure you are consistently producing English, even if it's only for 2 minutes?
find a way to practice speaking every single day. Find your path to production, keep that momentum going, and we'll see you for the next deep dive.